Kelly Conover, a clinical supervisor here at Step Up. This webinar, we're going to be discussing information for interns and our intern expectations. We have our Step Up staff list. As you can see, we have a variety of experience. We have LMSW and LCSW staff, psychologists, and licensed mental health counselors. The purpose of these slides is to provide Step Up interns with information and expectations regarding their field placement. Information included in this webinar will be reviewed with interns by our field instructors and in trainings throughout the semester. A good background of Step Up. Step Up was created in collaboration with researchers and a community board who identified a need in their community. That need being support for adolescents in high school to keep them from dropping out. In 2007, Step Up began as a program with an academic focus, for tutoring and focusing on participants improving their grades. It took a more mental health focus, focusing on improving depression, PTSD, and anxiety. And today we have a life skills focus. We help our students to develop life skills that will help them to be successful young adults. We have two funding sources, the Robin Hood Foundation and the Department of Education. And this is important to know when we talk about program evaluation and the purpose of program evaluation. Participates in Step Up. Others are high school students ages 14 to 18 who live in low-income, high-risk settings and for high school dropout and meet one or more of the following criteria. They have low GPA, insufficient credits, poor attendance, difficulties finding and maintaining positive relationships, and home and family circumstances that impact their academic success. So, works with the staff and teachers at each school to nominate students who meet these criteria. And once students are nominated, they are invited to a meeting to explain what Step Up is, how it works, what they'll be doing as part of the program, and they receive forms that they come for their parents to sign and complete, and once those are returned, they will have officially joined Step Up. So currently, the purpose of Step Up is a positive youth development and mental health support program that intervenes with youth across multiple ecological contexts, such as community, family, and school, to address social emotional development, promote academic achievement, on-time high school graduation, and a positive transition to young adulthood. So currently, this is the program mission of Step Up. Step Up several components, including life skills-focused youth groups, one-on-one mentorship, training events, a youth voice project, teacher engagement, academic support, and evaluation and research. So what is the role of a Step Up intern? All interns will participate in the following components. In groups, 2 to 3 interns and 1 staff person will co-facilitate the after-school biweekly group. Throughout the semester, the staff person will do less facilitation as the interns become more comfortable and take over that role. The staff person who will be running groups with the interns will either be their task or clinical supervisor. Each intern will be assigned approximately 8 one-on-one students that they'll meet with on a biweekly basis. Expected to attend as many trips and events as possible with the Step Up students at the school assigned. To engage with the school and teachers, meeting with teachers when necessary to collect data or talk about students who are having difficulty. All expected to complete program evaluation materials such as nomination forms, group attendance, and exit and entrance interviews. And the program evaluation materials they are, and the collection process will be discussed at a training in the near future. So Step Up developed intern benchmarks to make sure every intern is meeting the needs of Step Up participants, and Step Up is meeting the needs of our interns. So this semester, In addition to the formal mid-semester and final evaluations, interns will meet with their clinical supervisor to determine if they're meeting the benchmarks. If benchmarks are not being met, the intern and supervisor will come up with a plan to support the intern in achieving the benchmarks. Meeting benchmarks is imperative for placement with Step Up and for professional development. So the slides are going to review the benchmarks. You're going to be receiving the list of benchmarks, so you have them written down. So over them briefly now. Your clinical supervisor will also go over it thoroughly with you at the beginning of the semester. Benchmarks related to professionalism, business casual dress, arriving on time, not just to field placement in the morning, but to individual trainings, to your one-on-one sessions, to groups, etc. So being timely in responding to emails, and being professional in your email correspondence. Benchmarks related to youth engagement include submitting necessary paperwork such as progress notes, biopsychosocials, and contact logs. Also, benchmarks related to intern learning tasks and clinical process, so submitting process recordings to your clinical supervisor two weeks on time, and that's decided by your clinical supervisor when they would like them submitted by each week. And process recordings should have the following format. If this doesn't work with you, you will speak with your clinical supervisor to determine a format that does work for you. So all interns are required to attend every step-up training and to be on time. And when we discuss group supervision later in the semester, there'll be a form that you'll be asked to complete 40 hours prior to the group supervision. So we expected to turn that form in 48 hours prior. More benchmarks related to the intern learn task and clinical process. We're having trainings reviewing adolescent development and positive youth development, and we call interns to attend those trainings and practice with that information. So field supervision. The purpose of field supervision is to integrate theory with practice, so it's learned in the classroom to your work in the field. Weekly supervision, you'll be discussing with your clinical supervisor ways to do this. Field helps you build skills and form your identity as a social worker. We use the terms interchangeably, field instructor and clinical supervisor. So if I say field instructor, I mean clinical supervisor, etc. The purpose of field instruction is to build social work competence. Expectations of supervision. Your clinical supervisor will go over these with you individually, but to be on time, to submit 2 process recordings per week, to bring an agenda, and to bring what you're learning in the classroom and determine how you can apply it to practice. Is your time, and that's why we ask that you bring an agenda with questions or things that you want to learn or build on, to make sure that you're getting the most out of it and you're getting the most out of this experience internship. So task supervision. Your task supervisor will be the staff person on site at the school you're assigned. So your clinical supervisor may not be at the school you're working or running groups with you. So that staff person who is will be your task supervisor. And it will be the person who provides you, in the moment support out in the field. So running groups, one-on-ones, you would go to your task supervisor, any questions related to doing those things in the field. Your task supervisor and clinical supervisor will collaborate so that you're all on the same page and sharing the same information. Your clinical supervisor, during one of your first supervisions, will review with you what would be necessary to go to your task supervisor for and what you would contact your clinical supervisor for. Also, task supervisor is involved in completing mid and final evaluations, also the benchmarks. so your clinical supervisor and task supervisor, will meet together to determine if you're meeting benchmarks and to complete your evaluation. So group supervision will begin in October, and interns will participate approximately once per month. It is mandatory, and it is in lieu of individual supervision during those weeks. So on the weeks when you attend the 2-hour group supervision, you won't be having individual supervision with your field instructor unless you request it. Program evaluation. So program evaluation is important to determine if the program is meeting the needs of our clients. So what do we know about our participants? Here are statistics of what the literature says about the population that we serve. To evaluate Step Up. So from a clinician's perspective, we need to evaluate Step Up. We need to know, 1, who we're serving, what are the students' strengths and needs, how is the student doing, how can we examine their progress over time, and what do you do now? What's next step? What's the long-term goal? How can you help your student be successful? So with the entrance and exit interviews, we're collecting a lot of information about the students, about where they are, what they need, some challenges that they have. From a program evaluation perspective, we need to know, in what ways does this program impact students? Is it helpful? Does it work? Does this program advance clinical practice methods? And how do these findings contribute to our knowledge? And how do we sustain the program? So we need to, for funding purposes, if the program's successful, we want to be successful and help our participants, but if the data isn't showing that, then we need to evaluate what we're doing. Also, our funders request that we show progress over time in order to continue funding. As a sub-intern, you will have a role in program evaluation. You're responsible for on-time data collection and using this information to inform your practice. So collecting entrance and exit interviews from students, but then looking at that information and using it to inform your work with the students. It's not here, but there are program evaluation forms that you will need to collect from students. One would be the nomination form. So for any new students at the school you're working, you would need to collect nomination forms from teachers or school staff. The form asks the school about reasons why the student is being nominated. The entrance and exit interviews are basically standard measures measuring a variety of things, and you'll be collecting them at the first sessions of the year. There's also contact logs, which you'll be completing so that your supervisor knows, the number of hours of contact, both in group and on one-on-one with your students. All of this will be discussed in further trainings. We just wanted to give all interns an overview of what our expectations are, of what they can expect, and this will all be discussed in more detail in further trainings and with your clinical supervisor. You are looking forward to a great year with Step Up.